It's 2:17 a.m. Tehran time. Deep beneath the Fordow enrichment facility, buried 300 feet under solid rock, Iranian nuclear engineers are making a decision that will reshape the world. The centrifuges have been spinning faster than ever before. Uranium-235 levels have crossed the threshold. After months of diplomatic warnings, economic sanctions, and military threats, Iran has done what many thought impossible. They've assembled their first nuclear weapon. The world doesn't know it yet. There's no dramatic announcement, no mushroom cloud, no immediate explosion, just a quiet moment in an underground bunker where physics becomes geopolitics, and everything changes. But within hours, satellite surveillance will detect the signature. Intelligence networks will confirm what everyone feared, and then the real crisis begins. This isn't speculation. This is scenario planning based on current intelligence assessments, confirmed uranium stockpiles, and the very real possibility that Iran's nuclear program crosses the red line not in years but in months, weeks, or even days. According to the International Atomic Energy Agency's latest reports and analysis by nuclear experts at Harvard's Belfer Center, Iran already possesses enough enriched uranium to build multiple nuclear weapons if they choose to weaponize their existing stockpile. Unlike the hypothetical scenarios and viral countdown theories we've debunked before, this analysis is rooted in hard data. Iran's uranium enrichment levels, confirmed by independent inspectors, currently sit at, according to nuclear physicist David Albright of the Institute for Science and International Security, can be bridged in as little as 2 weeks with Iran's current centrifuge capacity. So what actually happens when Iran goes nuclear? Not in some distant future, but tonight, right now, while you're watching this video. The first thing to understand is that Iran going nuclear doesn't mean Tehran immediately launches missiles at Tel Aviv or threatens to nuke Washington. That's Hollywood thinking. Real nuclear strategy is about leverage, deterrence, and fundamentally reshaping the balance of power in the most volatile region on Earth. Within the first 24 hours, Israel's response would be swift and decisive. According to former Mossad director Yossi Cohen, speaking to the Jerusalem Post in 2023, Israel has maintained a doctrine of preventive action against existential nuclear threats for over 5 decades. Israeli F-35 stealth fighters and submarine-launched cruise missiles would likely target Iran's nuclear facilities, enrichment sites, and weapons assembly locations before dawn breaks over the Persian Gulf. But here's where it gets complicated. Iran has spent years hardening and dispersing its nuclear infrastructure specifically to survive such strikes. The Fordow facility, buried under a mountain, is designed to withstand direct military attacks. The Natanz complex has multiple redundant systems and underground backup facilities. According to satellite analysis by the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies, Iran has created a nuclear program that's resilient, distributed, and designed to survive a first strike. So Israel's preemptive attack, while devastating, wouldn't completely eliminate Iran's nuclear capability. And that's when the real escalation begins. Iran's response would be immediate and multifaceted. First, they'd activate their proxy networks across the region. Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, with an arsenal of over 150,000 rockets and missiles, according to Israeli military intelligence, would begin sustained bombardment of northern Israel. Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad would launch coordinated attacks from Gaza. Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria would target U.S. military bases and personnel throughout the region. But the most dangerous escalation wouldn't come from conventional weapons. It would come from Iran's threat to close the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway through which 20% of the world's oil passes every single day. Iranian Revolutionary Guard naval forces, equipped with anti-ship missiles, fast attack craft, and mining capabilities, could shut down global energy supplies within hours. According to analysis by the Energy Information Administration, a complete closure of the Strait of Hormuz would remove approximately 21 million barrels of crude oil and petroleum products from global markets daily. Oil prices would spike to over $150 per barrel within days. Gasoline would hit $6 to $8 per gallon in the United States, and the global economy would face immediate recession-level disruption. The United States would have no choice but to respond militarily to reopen the strait. The Fifth Fleet, based in Bahrain, would launch Operation Earnest Will-style convoy protection missions, but this time against a nuclear-armed adversary with advanced anti-ship missile technology and the desperation of a regime fighting for survival. European allies would face an impossible choice: support military action against Iran and risk energy supplies that keep their economies running, or attempt diplomatic solutions while Israel faces existential threat and regional war spread. According to recent polling by the European Council on Foreign Relations, European public opinion is deeply divided on military intervention in the Middle East, with majorities in Germany and France opposing direct military action even in nuclear scenario. Meanwhile, China and Russia would face their own strategic calculations. Beijing, which imports roughly 10% of its oil from Iran according to customs data, would likely oppose military action while quietly increasing energy purchases from alternative suppliers. Russia, already isolated due to the Ukraine conflict, might see opportunity in regional chaos that drives up energy prices and diverts Western attention from Eastern Europe. The nuclear domino effect would accelerate rapidly. Saudi Arabia, which has publicly stated it would develop nuclear weapons if Iran does, would immediately activate its nuclear cooperation agreements with Pakistan and begin rapid development of its own deterrent. According to the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, Saudi Arabia has the financial resources and technical partnerships to develop nuclear weapons within 2 to 3 years of a firm decision. Turkey, Egypt, and the UAE would face similar calculations. A nuclear Iran changes the regional security architecture permanently. The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, already strained by North Korea's weapons program, would face an existential crisis as multiple Middle Eastern nations simultaneously pursue nuclear capabilities. But the most immediate and dangerous consequence wouldn't be proliferation. It would be miscalculation. In a regional war with multiple nuclear-armed actors, the risk of accidental escalation or misinterpreted signals rises exponentially. A conventional missile striking a nuclear facility could be mistaken for a nuclear attack. Electronic warfare jamming could blind early warning systems. False alarms, technical failures, or communication breakdowns could trigger nuclear responses based on incomplete information. According to declassified Cold War studies by the RAND Corporation, the risk of accidental nuclear war increases dramatically when more than 2 nuclear powers are engaged in active military conflict. The Middle East, with its compressed geography, overlapping alliances, and historical mistrust, would become the most dangerous nuclear environment in human history. Financial markets would collapse within hours of confirmation of Iran's nuclear capability. The Dow Jones would lose 4,000 points in the first trading session, according to economic modeling by Goldman Sachs crisis scenario. Global supply chains, already fragile from previous disruptions, would face immediate breakdown as insurance rates for Middle Eastern shipping become prohibitive and energy costs spike across all sectors. But perhaps most critically, the United States would face a fundamental strategic reality it hasn't confronted since the Cuban Missile Crisis. A hostile nuclear power in a critical region, allied with Russia and China, capable of threatening U.S. interests and allies while possessing the ultimate deterrent against regime change. This isn't about fear, it's about understanding that Iran going nuclear tonight isn't just a regional crisis. It's a global inflection point that reshapes international relations, energy markets, military strategy, and the basic assumptions of post-World War II order. The question isn't whether this scenario is possible. Intelligence assessments confirm it's probable within the current trajectory. The question is whether the world is prepared for the consequences. And right now, the evidence suggests we're not.